So someone told me a story of, this is a woman, when she was younger, she went on a road trip across South Africa with a friend of hers. So it was two young women driving alone, traveling across South Africa. And one evening they didn't have a place to spend the night in one of the towns that they arrived in. So their first response was to go to the police station and find out if they could sleep in their car in the parking lot, just so that if anything happened, help was nearby. And what struck me was that in that time, if you felt like you needed protection, or if you felt like you were in trouble, or if there was something wrong and your personal safety was the issue, you go to the police. It's not like that anymore. Now you fear the police because what if they wrongfully arrest you, which happens quite often because they don't, either sometimes because of corruption, sometimes because the police simply don't know and don't understand properly the regulations that are being released or that are in place and have been for years, and so on and so forth. And spending a night in prison can be dangerous. So you also worry about bribes because police pull people over and say, oh, you didn't stop at that stop sign, and you actually did, and then you have to pay them to make them go away and leave you alone. Otherwise they write a ticket for you or arrest you or whatever they're going to do. And I started asking myself, what would it be like to live in a world where the police were there actually to help, where every person in the police force honored that directive to protect and serve. I think things would look very different, because corruption currently in South Africa in the police force is so widespread in the police force. I'm not saying that every single police officer is corrupt, not at all. But it's commonplace enough that people are scared of the police more than anything else, scared of the corruption, scared of what the police are going to do, rather than wanting to go to them for help. And that to me is really sad. And now it's not an institutional issue like the anti-police protests in USA. It's not actually about the police. Just like here in South Africa, it's not an issue with the police force. Maybe some structural formational issues could be addressed, but at the end of the day, the bottom line is it comes down to the individuals in the police force, who the people are who make up the police force, because they're the ones who are disregarding and dishonoring their directive to protect and serve. They're the ones who are more concerned about personal power and personal gain than they are about protecting others and serving the public, serving people, serving humanity. So this whole topic brings into question, okay, well, we know that there are a lot of issues. We know that the issues are with people, but what can you do? The system is so broken, so corrupt. And again, not actually the system, it's the people within the system. Everything in the whole structure, every level, is just so dysfunctional. How do you fix something like that? And I cannot in any way claim to have an idea that would be a quick and easy fix, because my proposal is that the change needs to come from individual levels, from people, from each person making up that system, where the priorities are changed within each person personally on an internal level to reflect the actual goals and directive and principles of the organization that they're with. If the police force is to protect and serve, to act selflessly, to protect the weak, to be a voice for those who are being abused or who have been victims of a crime, then those individuals making up that force should be honoring those particular principles and should know how to embody them. And maybe that's where the challenge is coming in, where there are far too many of us who simply have no interest in living the principles that it would take to make up a better world. And this can be said of any organization, any group, any system, any body of government. It's not necessarily that the issue comes from that system level. It's about the people who make it up. Corruption isn't in the actual system. It's in the people in the system. It's the behavior, the thoughts, the emotional constructs within the people, where, as an example, let's take the police violence that is being spoken of so much. It's happening in USA. If someone who has an inferiority complex, someone who feels that they have to prove themselves to others, someone who feels they are weak and they have to exert an extremely over strong presence, and in so doing they're willing to hurt people to show their strength, to prove that they're strong. If someone like that enters the police force, you're going to have problems because they're not reflecting the personality design that you need to honor the principles of the police force. Now, I'm not saying that people like this should never ever join the police force. I'm saying that there should be honesty and realistic solutions proposed to the certain personality constructs or the components of a personality that may make up a police officer who doesn't honor the code. And the support structure should help people to address, to reflect on those parts of themselves that that do not honor the principles of what is actually best, the principles of an institution like the police force to protect and serve. We have to be honest with ourselves primarily about what needs to change within us. If someone is, for example, wanting to enter the police force, there could be a sort of an assessment that evaluates their personality designs and their behavioral traits, and as well as continuing assessments throughout someone's career to make sure that they're able to reflect the principles and the goals of that organization, and that they have support to deal with personal issues that may otherwise prevent them from doing that. So that's one way of looking at and considering one of the social issues we're facing. And it's by no means a holistic solution, and it's by no means an easy solution, and it doesn't have to be the only solution. But I think that solutions like these are worth discussing, and it's worth thinking outside of the box and worth pushing what we perceive to be the limits of human behavioral constraints and belief systems and cultural designs and so on and so forth. Right, thank you for watching. You're going to see me next time.